Welcome back to today's program as we look at mainstream media coverage on the need for a global shift to the vegan lifestyle in order to ensure our planetary and personal welfare. Meat production is causing once curable diseases such as tuberculosis and malaria to mutate rapidly into aggressive drug-resistant strains. Margie Mason and Martha Mendoza of the Associated Press explained more in the article Drug-Resistant Infections Lurk in Meat We Eat for MSNBC.
More and more Americans, many of them living far from barns and pastures, are at risk from the widespread practice of feeding livestock antibiotics. These animals grow faster, but they can also develop drug-resistant infections that are passed on to people. The issue is now gaining attention because of interest from the new White House administration and a flurry of new research tying antibiotic use in animals to drug resistance in people. Researchers say the overuse of antibiotics in humans and animals has led to a plague of drug-resistant infections that killed more than 65,000 people in the U.S. last year, more than prostate and breast cancer combined. And in a nation that used about 35 million pounds of antibiotics last year, 70% of the drugs, 28 million pounds, went to pigs, chickens, and cows. Worldwide, it's 50%. This is a living, breathing problem. It's the big bad wolf, and it's knocking at our door, said Dr. Vance Fowler, an infectious disease specialist at Duke University. It's here. It's arrived.
A single slaughterhouse may have hundreds of holding ponds that they call lagoons. They can span over a hectare and run 9 meters deep. They carry bacteria, blood, stillborn piglets, chemicals and drugs, which make them pink. Sometimes just a light rain can cause these deadly pink lagoons to overflow. In the article Boss Hog for Rolling Stone magazine, Jeff Tyetz addressed their horrors upon human lives.
Major floods have transformed entire counties into pig excrement bayous. To alleviate swelling lagoons, workers sometimes pump the excrement out of them and spray the waste on surrounding fields, which results in what the industry daintily refers to as over-application. This can turn hundreds of acres, thousands of football fields, into shallow mud puddles of pig excrement. Tree branches drip with pig excrement. A few years ago, a truck driver in Oklahoma was transferring pig excrement to a lagoon when he and his truck went over the side. It took almost 3 weeks to recover his body. In 1992, when a worker making repairs to a lagoon in Minnesota began to choke to death from the fumes, another worker dived in after him, and they died the same death. In another instance, a worker who was repairing a lagoon in Michigan was overcome by the fumes and fell in. His 15-year-old nephew dived in to save him, but was overcome. The worker's cousin went in to save the teenager, but was overcome. The worker's older brother dived in to save them, but was overcome. And then the worker's father dived in. They all died in pig excrement.
Thankfully, such harsh incidents, as well as climate change impacts, can be avoided, prevented, if everyone adopts a wholesome vegan lifestyle. It is in fact a necessary solution and the best, because as Laura Barton wrote in the UK-based The Guardian, giving up meat is easy.
The plain fact is that we must reduce the amount of meat and dairy we consume if we are to protect our planet. A kilogram of beef is responsible for more greenhouse gases than a 3-hour car journey while leaving all the lights on in your home. Our oceans are overfished and polluted by commercial fish farms. And while you might be a little gloomy about the notion of a lunchtime without a ham sandwich, the message is really quite simple. Grow up and stop wrinkling your nose. After all, they are only lentils and they will not hurt you. There are many other types of cooking, such as Indian, Thai and Japanese, that lend themselves more readily to simple vegetarian cuisine. When giving up meat, many people are tempted to run straight into the welcoming arms of cheese. This is not a great idea. Dairy farming also has a hugely detrimental effect on the environment, not to mention the fact that not all cheeses are actually vegetarian. Broaden your culinary horizons. Get to know tamari and tempeh, soy milk and cashew cheese. Enjoy a little experimentation.
The good news is, people are broadening their veg culinary horizons around the world, and for the world. We send a green salute to all journalists and media groups around the world who are raising awareness of the adverse role of meat consumption and the importance of being veg for climate change and our health. May all people heed the urgent call that will not only save our world, but also make it a much safer, happier place to live. Considerate viewers, it was a pleasure having you with us on today's program. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for words of wisdom, coming up after noteworthy news. May heaven's light guide to ever more wisdom and happiness.
To read the full articles cited in today's program, you can find them online. Huffington Post, We Can't Ignore the Security Threat from Climate Change, by US Senator John Kerry. www.huffingtonpost.com. Financial Express, Vegetarianism, the Mantra to Overcome Climate Change Challenges, by Rajiv Tikku. www.financialexpress.com. The Star Online, Meter Issue, by Alan Coe. www.thestar.com.my. The New York Times, Safety of Beef Processing Method is Questioned, by Michael Moss. www.nytimes.com. MSNBC, Drug-Resistant Infections Lurk in Meat We Eat, by Margie Mason and Martha Mendoza. www.msnbc.msn.com. Rolling Stone Magazine, Boss Hog, by Jeff Teets. www.rollingstone.com. The Guardian, Giving Up Meat is Easy, by Laura Barton. www.guardian.co.uk.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/EE